before we start this video, if you're going to go down to the comment box, be careful because there's most likely going to be spoilers for The Walking Dead season finale. I'm not mad at you. Don't even go in the comment box, or if you want to put your comments in the comment box and get the hell out of here, do that. Do not just go start reading question after question because you know some asshole's going to show up and just start shitting out spoilers. So be careful down there. Let's get to the video. Make a Path presents The Walking Dead Q&A number 80. Alright guys, if you want to participate in the Q&A, if you're new here especially, make sure to follow those directions down in the description. For those who are new to YouTube, the description is that little space below the video. Scroll down, usually click and it'll show more, it'll make it real big. I'm going to leave descriptions there. It's going to be under rules to enter. I'll retype them so they look better. Right now that's just a paragraph. Let's jump right into the questions. Make sure you follow the rules though. Jumping into this with Hunter Young. What season do you think Ezekiel will show up? I think he definitely has to show up in season 7. First off, for those of you who are TV only fans, Ezekiel is the leader of a brand new community that we haven't seen yet. Because remember, Jesus said, your world's about to get a lot bigger. He didn't just mean the Hilltop and the Saviors and Negan and everything like that. Yeah, I do believe that he's going to be in season 7. He has to be either a few episodes in on season 7 or maybe the second half at the latest, which I doubt. I don't see much filler they can put in there that would keep Ezekiel from appearing, Ezekiel and the Kingdom. Also, yes, he will definitely appear because Kirkman said so, and when has that man ever lied to us? Cole Ratcliffe. We're discussing how Morgan has impacted Carol, but to what extent do you think Carol has influenced Morgan, if at all? Listen, I would have to sit back and look and dissect. The only thing off the top of my head that I got so far out of watching this would be how he didn't even hesitate, he immediately hopped in a car to go after her. It probably clicked with him that this is something that people sometimes, especially in Carol's circumstance, they need to be kind of coached or guidanced. They need something. They need someone to lean on, someone to talk to. So I think in that way, Morgan has been affected or influenced, you should say, by Carol. Again, I'd have to look at it and go in deeper for any other deeper meanings. But if you guys want to help, shoot some ideas down in that comment box. The Walker King 1. Do you think The Walking Dead will end before they bring in Alpha and the Whisperers? For those of you who are only TV fans, Alpha and the Whisperers are a new group of bad people, and no, I do not believe it's going to end before, especially since they brought Negan in a little earlier than I ever thought they would. No, I don't believe it's going to end before Alpha and the Whisperers. Jason Bennett. With all the talk about the possible finale cliffhanger, do you think it's possible that he will kill one group member and decide to kill one more, with the second being a mystery we wouldn't solve until season 7 premiere? You know what? That could be good, and that could be something they could do. Maybe not exactly pull them out. I'm still against beating more than one person to death in the lineup. It just feels like overkill. For me, it feels like they're not confident in their storytelling, so they're like, you know what? How do we make this more shocking than the comic? I know, let's kill 2 instead of 1. It feels so generic, in my personal opinion. But if somebody were to get hurt or injured or whatever, or in some other predicament that's at that moment, that could be a cliffhanger death, maybe. But again, it's difficult because we can just look for, you know, the character that's not really in the trailer much, and then most likely that character's dead, or the people who follow filming sites. I don't know, the cliffhanger stuff, not only is it so problematic because of social media, but also the fact that it pumps the brakes on the moment, you know, just that moment. I don't know. I'm when I visualize it, I'm not liking it as far as the cliffhanger. Mr. A9, do you think Daryl is safe from getting the bat now that he got shot? Yeah, I personally feel that way because I think in the amount of blood he lost, that kind of wound, you know, he might just be unconscious or in shock. I mean, the dude might have lost a lot of blood. He's probably weak. I can't really imagine. I think it would be kind of comical if I'm picturing it. Imagine Daryl's on his knees and he can barely keep himself up. Negan's like, okay, I'm picking this guy, and Daryl just slumps over and falls down unconscious, you know? I don't know. It just has that vibe. So I do believe that he's probably safe. And that's going with the understanding that Daryl lost a lot of blood. It looked like it, especially with the blood on the camera. So run with that. And yes, since he lost a lot of blood, he's probably going to be weak and unconscious and everything like that. So I think he's safe after the gunshot. Kian Mitra. If the finale is left on a cliffhanger and we don't know who is killed by Negan, what will they do for the Season 7 trailer? Right there you got me. I have no clue. Obviously, they're going to have to tweak the trailer where they leave a few people out of it. You know, that's the only thing I can think of right now. Jordan Detloff. Do you think Carol will save Rick and gang from Negan like Terminus? I think this is awesome if they go this direction. Not save them, but if they show Carol and maybe Morgan, and in our opinion, we think maybe they're getting close to our characters, and because she saved them in Terminus, a lot of fans might be thinking, oh my god, you know what? She's going to save him, especially TV fans that don't know anything about Negan and what he's really going to do. And then they're like, oh, there's Carol, she's coming around the corner, she's going to save them, she's going to stop it, she's going to do something. And then bong, we see Carol come around the corner and it's something else. It's like the Kingdom or some other community or some other situation, and then it cuts back to Negan and the survivors, and it's like, yeah, Carol's nowhere near there. They're fucked. So I think that would be an interesting way to write the story, to craft it in that way. But no, I don't believe at all she's going to save them like Terminus. Scott Baglori. Hey Ronnie, I love your videos. Awesome. Thank you, man. Do you think a cliffhanger would be a very bad idea? Off the top of my head, yes. Again, I feel like it pumps the brakes on the scene, on the tension, the suspense, on the momentum the scene is picking up. I just feel like it's a bad idea. Now, part of me is thinking, man, you know what? Like I talked about in the previous video, my cliffhanger video, they could probably make that work. That would be a vicious cliffhanger. But the more I think about that scene and how he's got to pick someone and bring them out, how do we not see any of that? How do we not get any, you know, and not only that, but in order to make it a good cliffhanger, won't they have to show the scene again so we can see who he picks in the beginning of Season 7? I don't know. If they rush to get to Negan now, just give us the damn scene. Jim O'Brien. On IMDb, they said Morales would be returning for the finale. What if he comes as a savior? You know what? Listen, I'm going to stop you there. I wanted to put this in here to let everyone know. Don't ever trust IMDb. Ever. Random people, you can go right now and re-edit IMDb and say a pony or a unicorn or a rainbow-colored unicorn is going to run across the field and stab Negan in the heart, you know? Yeah. You know, so don't ever trust IMDb. The Willie Pinch. Do you think Carl will still go to Negan's compound in Season 7? Yeah, you know, in the comic book, for those who aren't familiar, and this isn't a big spoiler, but because Abraham dies in the comic, he did not die. Denise died in the show. Carl got pissed and he went to the compound. Now, because Carl is there in the show, Carl was there in the comic, but I'm just saying, because Carl's there in the show when someone gets beat to death and he's close to everyone pretty much, he could go to the compound still. I believe they'll keep that. Cedrirvin? I said that so wrong. Ronnie, I know you don't like the Carol equals Alpha theory, but it's kind of crazy how they put Carol into situations where she has to pretend and blend in to survive. Why not her end game is to blend in with the walkers, the ultimate survival tactic? Listen, the blending in with the walkers, if that was the only thing, that would be absolutely awesome. And that's why I'm including this question. I still believe Carol becoming Alpha is utterly ridiculous, simply for the fact that you would have to change so damn much. Not only am I excited to see Alpha, you know, as a comic fan on TV, and comic fans, you know, all comic fans who are excited to see Alpha, you get robbed of that character, like I explained before. If we were all excited to see this new character, Dwight, and then we replace it with Daryl, now we get robbed of seeing that. But that's a petty explanation. The big explanation here, the big reason, I should say, is now what are you going to change? Is Carol going to allow rape of children? Because Alpha allows that. And if you're going to say, well, no, obviously we can't do that because people think Carol's a piece of shit and it doesn't fit her character, now you got to say, okay, well, Carol's alpha, but she doesn't rape. Well, what about Lydia now? Is Carol going to find a child, adopt the child? How much of this do we see? Because if we're going to see it, it takes away the reveal that there's people wearing masks. You know what I mean? The human masks. So it becomes so problematic. Now you gotta find a child for her to adopt as if it was her child. Now you gotta rewrite, does she rape, does she not? I mean, Alpha in the thing is a killer, let's not forget. Carol left because she doesn't want to kill. Now you would have to switch it to make Carol just, I will kill anybody, I don't care. Because that's Alpha. She literally butchers 12 innocent people. Are you going to make Carol do that? And then, to go even further, now you have to really craft the story around Carol becoming Alpha and avoiding Alexandria and the whole communities, for years until the time skip and then come back. It just, all of that seems like a clusterfuck to remix the story in that way. It just seems so damn blah, in my opinion. You guys might like it, but it just does not fit with me at all. Jonas Standel. I had to turn my thing down because my computer's dying. What do you think about Carol walking out of the barn like Sophia? Here's another thing. Yeah, if they follow Carol and she's injured and she just walks out of a barn, that's borderline comical because it's like, what are the chances of that? Okay, she found a barn, she died, and then she's going to walk out. What does that do for the story, though? That's the only thing that gets me. What does it do for the story? The cast isn't there. They're off dealing with Negan, so only Morgan's going to see it. It doesn't seem like it will impact us, the fans. It might be like, oh my god, Carol's dead, but other than that, it's like, what does it do? So it doesn't do anything for me. Jack Price, do you think they are on the road to take Maggie to the hilltop because of what has happened to the baby? And they would be carrying Maggie on the gurney in the promo. Yes, I do believe that is a possibility. Randy Mahan. I tried. In season 1, why does Rick find his family almost immediately? Hey, listen, this is a good question here. I threw this in here because I liked it. Why does he almost find his family immediately? Because, in my opinion, the longer he waited, the harder it gets. At least we have somewhat of a realistic story. You know what? Morgan tells him that everyone went to the city, and they're already camped out of the city. If he doesn't find them for months or years or whatever, each passing day it gets more unrealistic and harder to find them. Alright, I had to plug in my computer. But if you want like a technical answer, most likely when Kirkman was doing the comic, he did not know how long the comic would go for, obviously. So it seemed like he was crafting a smaller story in the beginning, and with its popularity, it grew into a bigger one. Now, why couldn't they do that with the show? Is because I believe they love the story so much from the comic, they wanted to use it as a blueprint and didn't want to veer too far off of that. Abraham Ford, comic spoilers ahead. Do you think if Daryl doesn't get the bat, how do you think he'll feel about Rick letting Dwight join him? This is a very good question. I like this. You know what? I think if they put Daryl in the right situations, Daryl might be the one to bring it to Rick. Now, before you jump off and go crazy and da-da-da-da, there's a number of things they can do. They can have Daryl, for some reason, I don't know how, but they can have him at the compound. We can see Mark get burned. We can see Daryl learn the rules, and Daryl can see, Dwight and the way he's treated at the compound. And then Daryl can see that if Dwight didn't do what he did, if Dwight didn't whatever, then he's a dead man. Or Daryl can find out that Dwight is actually becoming the best he can be in Negan's army because he wants to take out Negan. Because let's not forget, if they do stick similar to the comic, Dwight is a person who's going to want to do the best he can, get close to Negan, and then kill him himself. So if he's got to kill some chick he barely knows to do it, to accomplish this, then chances are he'll do it, So there's different perspectives. And if you get the characters in the story hearing those different perspectives or soaking them up, then, Daryl can see the Denise death in a different light. I'm not saying he's going to forgive him and become best friends with him, but he can also see that there's other things at play. Miriam Gaines. I've heard people suggesting All Out War will be covered in Season 7. Do you think they'll get there that fast? Listen, I'm going to do videos on this, but right now I do not believe they will do all of Negan's story, because it is all of Negan's story, in one season, Season 7. This build-up to Negan wasn't half of his story at all. There's still a lot more left, but I'm going to do follow-up videos, so stay tuned. Into real. Why does it seem that Dwight is always getting the drop on Daryl? You know what? This is a great question. I want to throw this in here. Well, you also said this is the third time, so does that equate to Dwight having superior tracking skills? A couple things. First off, Daryl was pissed, so he was screwing up, Second off, if you don't build a strong villain, and this is a common thing in writing, if you do not build a strong, smart, superior villain, then there's no real conflict or obstacles for our heroes to overcome. Now, our heroes right now, the survivors, they've been taking out the saviors with ease, so they got a little too confident. Daryl was a little too angry. They took him for suckers. And now we find out that Dwight has some skill. Like, he's not just this shithead Daryl ran into, and that's the end of it. Dwight, unless if they're going this direction, which they should, I don't see why not. But Dwight has some serious skill. He can set a trap. He can lure someone in it. He knows what he's doing out there. That makes it that much more interesting and that much more conflicting, or there's that much more conflict, I should say, with our survivors getting the upper hand. Because if these people are just weak and stupid, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? If they're just weak and stupid, it's like, okay, survivors, kill them already. But if they're pretty clever, if they're smart, strong, or whatever, it makes it harder and more interesting to watch them defeat those characters. So, Tom Jones, do you think Dwight's face will be brought up? Daryl should noticed, and you said you read the comics. Listen, I'm going to go back to the same thing I was talking about before. I do believe that it won't just be brought up. I think we have to see it. Not with Dwight. It's over with now. They already showed him. Don't do a flashback. Do a new guy, just like they did in the comic. Have a new person break the rules, get his face burned. Hopefully, Carl and Daryl is there to see it, and I think that's a lot better than hearing about it. Whiffman Films. Hey Ronnie, what in the hell ever happened to Scott? He was at the church when Rick was making a plan to kill the Saviors, so he's still around. YouTube difficult. Do you think since there is a cliffhanger ending, they will name Season 7 Episode 1 Something to Fear? No. Well, we don't know if there's a cliffhanger ending, but if there is, I don't know about that Something to Fear. I still don't know why this episode that's coming isn't Something to Fear. By Season 1, it's over. It's over. There's nothing to fear. What's going to happen in the season finale? That is Something to Fear. You know what we do after that? Everyone walks away, and then they go and work for Negan. Yeah, it might not be the best environment, but they can now travel the road safely. Saviors aren't hunting them anymore. So there's nothing to fear. After Negan puts them in check, kills one of them, and they leave, they're now co-workers, essentially. So there's nothing to fear. So if they call it Something to Fear, that's going to be very short-lived. Unless they do something different, which they would have to change a lot to do something different. Adam Burney. Has the Walking Dead TV show ever recreated a death exactly as it's been done in the comics? No. In the very first season they did like Amy and Jim, and Shane was like a reverse of something like the comics, but besides that, yeah, not a single one. Like literally not a single one, because all the other deaths in the past were something different. Alright, that's it. Listen, questions in that comment box. Don't forget Q&A. First thing first in your comment. Rules are in the description. Put your thoughts and opinions about everything we discussed down in the comment box, and your answers to these questions. If you have something different and you want to get it off your chest, put that in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn. Subscribe now.